All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, very few times in life do you get to interview or speak to a person who is at the origin of something. Today, I get to interview a man by the name of Rhyne Hassan, one of the first ever individuals to ever compete in a mixed martial arts bout here in KZN in Durban, and one of the originators or founders of this great MMA community that we have here in Durban. So, Mr. Hassan, first and foremost, you are the head and the founder and CEO of GBH, Gorgeous Boys Hardcore. Can I ask you a question? When did you start GBH MMA and why?
Well, GBH MMA, it was originally just called GBH. Um, and we used the acronym because obviously there's a lot of things we could do with the letters of GBH. And initially, what happened was we just a bunch of guys that used to work together. We used to bounce at nightclubs and we used to train together. And so me, that was a little more advanced than them, I emerged as the trainer of them all. And I remember when we used to work, and I used to say, make it look good. You must always make it look so good that it's gorgeous, you know? And so when we were working out, and my motivation used to be, come on, boys, come on, make it look good, make it look gorgeous, make it look gorgeous, gorgeous, boys, come on, gorgeous. And then I started using it as I started using the wordplay. And I remember once I was interviewed by someone in the early days, and they said, "So what style do you guys do?" I said, "I don't know, but it looks so good. They should call it gorgeous." So they said, "So you're the gorgeous boys," and I said, "Hardcore." So it stuck.
It's amazing. Can you tell me, what are the core principles of your gym?
Look, I try to keep these as the core principles of anyone that I'm associated or affiliated with, and or that's affiliated with me or my circle. I try to keep it as try to keep four core principles. You know, one is loyalty. Obviously, look, one can't be loyal to everyone and everything because then it's not loyalty. That's actually foolishness. Loyalty to the cause, to the concept, to each other, respect. First of all, self-respect. We're big on that. You must be, you know, there's a saying, no self-respecting person would do such and such or such and such. And so we believe in self-respect first, and then obviously respect for things that should be respected and people that should be respected. Now you must notice the wordplay with that. For things and people that should be respected. However, you should be respected first. So if you have self-respect, generally it emanates. And then so that's loyalty and respect. And then there's pride, not as an arrogant pride, but pride in everything you do. Pride in yourself, take pride in the things you stand for, the things you do, the things you believe in, you know, that kind of pride. And perseverance. Now, perseverance is a thing. It's a spiritual thing for me because in our holy book, we are Muslim, obviously. It's written that the Creator likes people that persevere. You know, perseverance, and so from the word perseverance, we got the slogan: "We won't stop." So you, in other words, when it's not going your way, what do you do then? You have two choices: to continue or stop. So perseverance is a thing that it's a virtue that a lot of people ignore. You know, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So we I try to encourage that. I try to encourage that it's not always going to go your way, be it in life, be it in the sport, be it in the match, be it in a relationship. So the perseverance wraps up the other three fundamentals that I spoke about. So, yeah.
So, Mr. Hassan, I want to ask you, what does it take to build a team?
You know, it's a very good question. Like in most things, you know, the one thing that building a team universally consists of is obviously people that are willing to participate, to cooperate and to be great. And if you, that's the first aspect. You got to look for those things. People that are willing to participate, cooperate, and be great. Because if you're not seeking greatness, there's not much point. You know, I've never been one in life that thought, okay, I'm going to get older, get a wife, have kids, get married, and die. No, that's not for me. That's for the ordinary man, and ordinary people do ordinary things. Extraordinary people do extraordinary things. You know, I don't want to be forgotten in 5 years. You know, and so I try to instill that in people, and once you start instilling the right values, people start to participate because there's a direction, and the direction is not a selfish one because it's not for me, it's for them. And most people want to be part of something. They want to be part of a team or an organization or something. It's a natural order of things. That's how people are, most people. And then you get the new type of thinking, oh no, I don't need anybody, I don't want to be part of something, I'm my own person. You know, there's an old saying, no man is island. So once you get people that are willing to cooperate and participate and be great, those are the ingredients that it takes. But now, making the team is you having to see that in someone. And sometimes it's hard because people don't see that in themselves. You know, a lot of people don't see it in themselves. Let's take MMA for an example. You know, there was a time that no one knew how to throw a head kick. None of us always knew how to do it. None of us have always known how to do it. None of us have always known how to do an armbar. Everybody has to learn. So I say this to my students, that everyone does the same training, same time, same day. The difference between that person and you decide. You decide the difference between the other person and you. So he wants to be great. He cooperates and he participates. You don't. You hesitate. You always late. And you hate. So in that I'm saying is, you know, what you have to identify these qualities, hone in, zone in on them, and you got to grow them, you know, and then when people start seeing that you take interest in them, they take interest. People like that. People like that kind of attention. When they see that, okay, you as a leader have shown them that you noticed and recognized it in them, the best of them starts coming forward. But yes, sometimes we do make bad choices. You know, you see, you choose somebody and he's in it for himself. That's where the participation and cooperation isn't. They don't cooperate. You can't have a team with everyone doing their own thing. You have to have someone that's willing to cooperate and grow the team, because every team is only as strong as its weakest link. So we are only as good as the worst person. We are only as good as the person that knows the least. A team will always try to strengthen everything about them. Everyone, the weakest, the smallest, the oldest, the one who knows the least. We'll always try to strengthen that. And once you start seeing those qualities in people, you can grow a team from that. And not everyone's a team player that might be in your team. You know what I'm saying? You have to identify that as well. But you need to make a good team. You need a strong leader that knows what it takes, or at least has an idea of what it takes.
Okay. So with that being said, with us understanding how you build a team, I need to ask you, as a coach of several championship level fighters, what is the mentality of a South African championship level fighter?
You know, I think it's universal. I don't think it's necessarily a South African thing. I think, personally, I have a saying, to be a champion, you have to do what champions do. You know, to be you can't be, if I'm a champion and you're not, and you want to be a champion, you have to do what I do. At least. And then you can add to that. But you can't not put in the same amount of work that champions do. Because there's a lot of people with hopes and dreams, and other people are making ways and means. And, you just not getting up and, I could have done it. And then 10 years go and 15 years go and say, I could have done it. You could have, but you didn't. So the mindset of becoming a champion is one thing. The mindset of being one is something else. Because a lot of people, and we've seen it in globally, when people become champions and then the fire is gone. Because that's what they set themselves up to be. They wanted to become a champion. They didn't want to be one. They wanted to just get there and get the belt and a bit of recognition. And that was it. It's being a champion that's different. And I think the mindset of being a champion should be to stay on top as long as you can. To always be a step ahead of the rest, start before everyone, end after everyone. Make it difficult for yourself. Once you start making it easy for yourself, then you take it. That's not what champions do. Every champion practices. You can't be a champion and you're not practicing. Every champion practices. You have to practice to stay on top. No one, the fastest sprinter practices to do that. If he stops practicing to do that, he wouldn't be good at doing that.
Yeah.
So you got to have that work ethic and practice and to ask yourself, is someone's always younger coming along, someone's coming up the ranks. It's not about chasing him, it's about staying ahead, not letting anyone catch up. It's a different type of, when you get there, the competition is you. You have to be better than the last time or your last greatness all the time. You have to be better than your last greatness. And also you got to realize that, people are watching you. You're the champion now. You got the bullseye on your back. People are watching you. And sadly enough, two things happen when you become a champion. One is people will be happy that you become a champion. And the other is people will be sad that you become a champion. And that happens whether you win or lose. People will be happy if you win. Then people will be happy if you lose. People will be sad when you win. And then people will be sad when you lose. That's I always tell my students that's unfortunate. People will be happy when you're the champion. Others won't.
Do you just mean like opposing coaches, or do you mean people putting eyes on you?
Everybody. There'll be people, if hypothetically, if you won the lotto now, there's people who will be very happy and people won't.
No idea.
You know what I'm saying? Whether you win or lose, you have the same effect on people. The effect is the same, whether you win or lose. There'll be people there will be people who will celebrate your victories, and then people will celebrate your losses. So we can't be thinking about the losses that are being celebrated all the time. You have to be thinking about you winning, your team. Because at the end of the day, the people with you. At the end I know people say, "Oh, my fans," but at the end of the day, it's the people in the trenches that are sweating, and that you become related to by blood. That those are the people that actually matter, because when you fall from grace, they. And that's the important thing.
100%. Okay. All right. Well, now we know. That was... So I want to ask you, okay. I've heard that you were the first man from Durban to compete in an MMA match. Am I correct?
Yeah, but you are correct. But there's a trick to that statement, because I wasn't the only guy on the day, but I was the first guy on the day that came here, which made me the first man.
Can you tell us about that story?
What happened was, back in the day when it first came out, we heard about it happening. At first everyone used to tell you, I'm an underground fighter, I'm underground. And, all these so-called underground fighters, where they fought? Where is this? Did they dig a hole? Well, we've been doing this for a long time. And then eventually then the whispers of this cage thing has come along. And obviously we were watching the movies and we thought, okay. And at that time it was truly cage fighting, where people really from different styles came into it. It wasn't MMA as a martial art. Now MMA is a martial art on its own. Back then, there was, like, for instance, if you did karate and this person did boxing and that person did wrestling, it was like that. Guys specified. So I belonged to a kickboxing club at the time that was very prominent in Durban. But the Pride thing came around, the Pride series that was in Japan. And so we started watching that, and I was like, okay, at first when you see it, you think, I can do this. It's not that difficult. I can do this. It's just, they just choke. You don't understand the intricacies of it. So you just think, I can do that. And what happened is, so they came to Durban and everyone, they were asking, like, who wants to fight, who wants to fight. So of course, everyone wants to be Van Damme and Boyka, and we said, okay, we can do this, and we can jump into the cage. So there was no fear in anyone.
Mm.
There was no fear, and I liked that. And so we all signed up. So I said, no, put me first. Because I wanted to be first. I wanted to be the first guy. But for some reason, they put me in the second fight. The first two guys went from Durban, so I was okay with it. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be first. So I get in there. And at the time, it was a bit different. It wasn't as organized. So we would get in. You don't really know who you're going to fight. You don't really know. You don't know anything about it. The guy jumps in. You say, okay, this is the guy. Pops off. So this circuit was going around and to different places trying to promote this thing. So it was the same group of guys that kept fighting.
Mm.
So now when they brought it to Durban, obviously it's full crowds. They introduced the Durbanites. So I get in, bounce around, trying to make it look good because it's the cage. You're fighting in the cage. You know what I'm saying? That was the whole hype of it. And I won with the submission, actually. It was a guillotine. And remember, I was a kickboxer at the time.
Mm.
So, which made me even more confident. Okay, I can do this. This is nothing. I can do this. You know? Yeah, and I felt like I was the man. I did a cage fight. I won with the submission. I thought I was the last emperor at the time. I'm like, I've got this. Second fight I won again, submission. I'm like, man, I'm untouchable. Yeah.
What did you tap him with? Another guillotine?
No, the second fight was an armbar.
Had you been training jiu-jitsu?
Messing around with it. Because our arrogance, and I have to call it arrogance, we refuse to actually acknowledge the effectiveness of the ground game. We it's an arrogance of stand-up guys. We didn't want to acknowledge it. But I knew a part of me knew, listen, you mess around with this thing because you need it. And I won. And the third fight, I got triangled. I didn't even know what was happening to me. I didn't even know what was going on. Next day, I said, no, I'm going to sleep here. I'm going to pass out. And I had to tap. And then I thought, okay, I have to go learn this thing. You know, it's actually more, the fact that someone's doing something to you that you don't even realize what he's doing. I didn't even know what he was doing. You know, I thought, okay, I'm on top of him. I'm smashing him up. Next thing, I'm falling asleep. Okay. Tap. Okay, I got to learn this. So then I started, getting deeper into it. My brothers were more into jiu-jitsu. I didn't really like it because I thought they're not striking, so it's not really fighting.
Mm.
You know? But you had to give it the respect. It was the way to go. You know what I'm saying? And you must remember at that time, I was looking at guys like Fido, Ken Shamrock, and them real bangers, you know? And Sakuraba, because it was an arrogance. I thought, no, man, this jiu-jitsu thing, no, I don't want to accept it. Yet you do accept it in you, but I didn't want to give it the respect that it deserved. I didn't want to do that, and I was wrong, and I was humbled, and and that's how it went. You know, from then I started messing around with it more, and then a couple more wins, and then a little more. But I've always knew that it can't just be jiu-jitsu, and it can't just be kickboxing or Muay Thai. I knew that this has to become a thing. And that time it wasn't called MMA. It wasn't called MMA. They tried different names, no holds barred, cage fighting, you know, that kind of thing. No rules fighting. It wasn't called MMA. But it slowly got a little more organized. Like I said, you know, that back then, when you get into the cage, we didn't even know who we were fighting. It was very unorganized. There was no AIDS test.
Oh, jeez.
There was no AIDS test. There was no, there was no real weight categories.
Someone could bleed on you, give you Hep C.
Yeah, there was no weight categories. It wasn't as regulated because society didn't really want it. You know, they didn't really want it. But there's obviously people have a need for an innate need to see violence. You know, so it took on. People thought it wouldn't, and it took on, and this is where we are now. Exactly.
Wow, that is an incredible story. What's amazing about that is that there's actually still footage of the fight on Facebook, I believe. It was a standing guillotine you caught the guy in.
No, that wasn't. That's actually my last match.
Was that? Oh, so those are two separate.
No, I fought a lot. I fought a lot of matches. That was actually the last fight I've ever had.
So you started with a guillotine, ended with a guillotine.
No, I'm saying started with a pound, ended with a bang. You know what I'm saying? But started to get. Yeah, come to think of it, there was a ground guillotine. I remember And I didn't know it properly. So I remember Micah Atkinson was in the corner and he was saying, pull to your heart. And I'm thinking, what does he mean, pull to? What is he talking about? I didn't know. And eventually, and because I won, I got arrogant. I thought, I won. I don't need to really know this thing. If I could get away doing that, I could tell I got triangled. But at the end, by the time I finished, look, I obviously know way more now than I knew when I was fighting. Way more. Because obviously it's an evolving sport. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So I know that GBH have at least 10 champions to your name
23.
as a gym. Whew. Wow. Well, I'm happy we did this interview because the footage online still has you guys at 10.
Yeah.
23. Can you chat to us about some of your notable champions?
Look, I think every champion deserves to be noted because, it obviously took a lot from him and the team. I have a saying, when you come to the sport, it's a give and take. You literally have to give everything you got to get to take. So a lot of these guys have given everything to become champions, and we've had MFC champions, ECA champions. We even had guys boxing champions. We've had karate champions. We've had a lot, and in MMA, obviously the biggest one was winning the EFC. We won many MFC champions, many of those. But the biggest one was the EFC champion because at the time, Dallas Jakobis had to fight Adam Speechley. Now, Adam Speechley at that time, even now, is highly rated.
Yeah.
His ground game is phenomenal. And they used to call him the prodigy. And I remember when we were going to fight him, everyone said, no, Rhyne, make sure Dallas doesn't go to the ground with this guy because this guy's he's just another level on the ground. And I said, no, we're going to fight this guy on the ground and we're going to beat him. And the guys were like, no. But I already knew. They didn't see my game plan already from the fight a couple months before that, where Dallas had to fight another guy. Can't remember his name, but he had like 11-0 and 11 submissions, 10 submissions, 11-0 and 10 submissions. And I said, Dallas, you can take the guy to the ground and we're going to beat him. And everyone said, no, Rhyne, it's a bad idea. I said, don't worry. Took the guy to the ground, we beat him. I said, this guy, Adam Speechley, we're going to take him to the ground and we're going to beat him. And we did. And it was a hell of a fight. It was one of the best fights I've seen at UFC. At no point I thought we would lose, though. And in fact, maybe for a second when he dropped Dallas, early in round one. Excuse me. And but yeah, Dallas followed the game plan. We really worked it. Because I knew Adam Speechley's first 3 moves on the ground, what he does, how he changes position, when he'll change it. So what we worked on was stuffing up his first 10 seconds. Because guys are usually the best in the first 30 seconds of a position. And the longer it goes, 2 things happen. The longer it goes, it's like cement, they settle and get stronger. But to get to that strong position, it's in the first it's actually 10 to 15 seconds where they actually get settled. Don't let them settle. That was the plan. Don't let him settle. Don't let him get settled. Keep him trying to get comfortable. And as long as we do that, we'd be all right. And that's what we did. And we won. Amazing fight, man. It was a big day for me. Because not just because we won the title, because we won it how I wanted him to win it. Because if we won it standing, they would probably say, but if he went to the ground, Adam would have beaten him. Exactly. So I said, we got to beat these guys in their world. Because there's nothing like you being a better ground fighter than me, and you realize after 2 minutes, I haven't said this guy. So it was a spirit breaking thing. We had to break his spirits and that. But Adam, I won't lie, hats off. He's one of the Adam Speechley is one of my favorites fighters ever. Universally.
Reason being?
I've never seen a guy so happy to compete. I've never seen a guy so happy and calm and he just enjoyed it and he made it look so easy. And I like that. I like that about him. You know, I couldn't have. There was no emotional resentment. There was nothing. I just thought, okay, he is good. We must beat him. If we can beat him, we're onto something. You know, yeah, I rate him big time.
And Dallas defended a couple times afterwards.
No,
Did he not?
no, he didn't defend.
Was it immediately the Jadison Costa match?
Yes, immediate afterwards. Look, there's obviously there were issues in that regard, um, like I've spoken about earlier on about when you become champion.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to get into it. We should and could have done things better. I have to take some responsibility for that. I should have put my foot down a little more about certain things. But what happens is typically when someone becomes a champion, everyone else tries to take credit. And everyone's advice sounds better than the guy that's telling you to die. Now you got this belt, you have to die more. You have to get harder and strong and work. So everyone else that's saying, okay, but we can do it this way. You should have done. Everyone else, you know, there was a little bit of me being blocked out. You know, yeah, we could have. It would have been. It was just unfortunate, really unfortunate. But yeah, you know, Dallas is one of is someone that I really respect, and you know, I've been with him from the beginning. He was with me, and you know, I guess people just grow apart in that essence. He's still a brother, and I just wish we could have ended on a better high. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay. Now I know this might be a dramatic topic shifting, but I just want to go back to kind of the iconic signs of GBH. Can you tell us what this sign means?
That symbolizes a crown, the points of a crown. Like you wear the crown, you know, you wear the crown. Sometimes the 3-point crown. That's what it is. But I generally it started getting misconstrued with a gang sign, and it got a little bit controversial. But that's the crown. The 4 points of the crown is the 4 pillars of the GBH: loyalty, respect, pride, and perseverance. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Loyalty, respect, pride, perseverance. Okay.
That's basically what it is.
I see it now. All right. So I just want to ask you, what would you say defines your leadership style?
Unrelenting, man.
Oh.
Unrelenting. You know, I think that, you know, I have the push and pull thinking. Like if me being the leader, I have to pull you and you have to push me, not the other way around.
Explain that.
I don't push you and you pull me. You push. Sorry. I pull you up and you push me. So the fighters are the foot soldiers, obviously. So you have to have them strong. But they have to support the leader. Because without them, he's not a leader. You know? So, yeah. I'm driven by them wanting to do it. That's the push I get. Them wanting to do it. You know? They must want to do it. And because I'm not going to change how I think. Because every time one of them fought, I was fighting. So I had more fights than them. Because every time one of them fought, I fought. And we're talking about guys, 30, 40 fights. And we're talking about 30, 40 guys. So you must remember that every time one of them was in action, that was me. So I've generally figured it out. And the strange thing is, when you're a leader, look, I don't know everything. I'm still learning. I made some mistakes in it. But when you're a leader, victory belongs to the soldiers and defeats are yours. You know, you get the blame. So I had to be comfortable with that and understand that, look, they're going to blame me. So you got to make sure you push me as your leader. You understand? And I'll pull you up. But if you break me down, then the head is broken. You know what I'm saying? So I try to, my style is I say to them, if you give me your heart, I give you my soul. If you give me your heart, I give you my soul. If you don't want to do it, sit down. If you don't want to do it, take a seat. Because there's always someone that wants to do it. I've already done it. I've already won titles and belts. And I fought. I know what it's like to be tired. I know what it's like to get ready. I know what it's like to win. I know what it's like to lose. I know what it's like to have people boo you. I know. You don't know. You understand? So you choose to be here. But I just, like I say, give me your heart and I'll give you my soul. That's generally my style.
So with that being said, what do you say to the people who say you're too hard on your fighters?
You know, I would, if it depends on my mood for the day. If I'm feeling a bit cocky, I would say, yeah, it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And if you want to be soft and then cool. You know, I have a saying that if you want to eat sweets and cakes and flowers, you are what you eat. But if you want to eat bombs and bullets and poison, you are what you eat. So decide what you want to eat. You know, you are what you eat. You know, it's not going to be easy because you have to ask yourself, is my opponent training harder than me? And what are the chances of that? What are the chances of them doing more than we doing? And also, me as a leader, I train better. Still, although I'm retired, I still try to stay as clued up as I can. There's no way that I should be working harder than you. I'm retired and I'm old. You know, so if you're my fighter, there's no way I should be working harder than you. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I require from them. And that is what they should acquire. You know what I'm saying? So when people say I'm too hard on them, go eat the cakes and sweets, you know, and the chocolates. Go do that. You know? Okay. I'll give them the poison. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Now, for my final question, I want to ask you something. Is GBH misunderstood?
Big time.
If so, why?
Look, you know, generally, not everybody misunderstands us. But people that don't want to understand will make up a concept that they like. For instance, like if I'm going to the corner of my guys, I'll have my earrings on, my chain kept to the side, you know, and this is now where MMA is concerned. And this is how I dress. This is how a lot of my guys are. You know, we speak differently. I'm not coming there with the slippers and the MMA shorts and the tap out. That's not me. You know, this is how I am. This is how we are. And, you know, it started from guys that have come up from the hood. So we came in with a lot of hood mentality. When you look at UFC, look at the way they see the Diaz brothers because of where they come from. You know, look at the Dagestanians. You know, they will say, #1 gangster. You know, this is where they come from. And that doesn't mean, you know, one could just, because they don't really know. They don't know how we see things. And when people usually, when they don't know, they assume.
Exactly.
And people generally hate what they can't beat and fear what they don't understand. And they don't understand, like, because when you're seeing me as a coach, generally, the first thing you think is, look at this guy. You know, no, look at his sneakers. He's got chains on his neck. He's not a coach. I mean, really, you know, I think when people make an assumption, it says more about them. You know, but I also get why we misunderstood, because I mean, I can't necessarily say misunderstood. I can say misjudged. Yeah, I can say misjudged because sometimes they got the understanding right. The understanding is, don't come here with that BS. You know what I'm saying? So they got that right. But misjudging in a sense of, if you're cool, be cool. You know, just be cool. Just be respectful. And the guys are cool. No one is we're not sitting here waiting to just shoot up the place and start. It's not like that at all. You know, and if you're cool, we cool. But if you're not, then tell us, then we know. I say, we know what's up. I say, yeah. I think that's the misconception. You know, they see the boys with the tattoos and the earrings and the chains, and you know, people just, I get it. You know? But not everybody. I mean, my mom loves me. So, yeah. I say, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Hassan.
No, sure.
I've learned so much today, and I feel like our viewers have learned a lot. And yeah, signing off on INCS on MMA. That was amazing.